Godzilla is now in New York City.
Monster 01 and 02, commence the attack.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back to Stomp This Way. How you doing today, Andrew?
Oh, I'm doing all right, snowed in the house.
Yeah, nice little snow day here in Oklahoma. Don't have too many of those. Not quite the snowpocalypse I think they were forecasting, but, we got about close to 4 inches of snow last night.
I think we got a couple more inches this morning.
I don't think we got that much more this morning. There's another round supposed to come through tonight, so we'll see.
A lot more ice in this round than there was in the previous one.
We'll see. But anyway, yeah, nice little snow day, and we took that opportunity to sit down
And binge.
the last half or so of the show, or last quarter maybe of the show that we are recapping today, which is
Ultraman Omega.
That's right.
Ooh.
The 35th entry in the Ultra series.
Wow.
Ooh. Were you excited to watch Ultraman Omega?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It looked interesting, honestly.
Yeah, before it came out, I saw the trailers and everything, and I was like, maybe. Maybe. We'll see. I mean, I think the listeners know, if you've been listening for very long, I'm not the biggest fan of this kind of, new generation. Really, I would say the last 20 years or so of Ultraman.
I mean, there's some pretty good ones in the last 20 years.
There's some okay ones. There's some decent
good
ones. The last Ultra show, which of course we didn't watch them live. We only started watching them live a few years ago.
Yeah.
But the last one in chronological order that I really loved, and it was the last one that really had that. Well, one, it was the last one that had over 50 episodes, and they really had that kind of old school Ultraman feel, was Ultraman Mabius. And since Ultraman Mabius, and I've talked about all this before, but they've gone into this sort of really cyclical 25 episodes, I think two series a year Ultraman shows. And they are what they are. They're glorified toy commercials. They're very homogenous.
One's usually the high budget show, and then they do like a lower budget show.
Like a summer show and then a winter show.
And you can tell the differences.
Usually the winter show feels like maybe they didn't have all the budget left over. But no, I mean, they're all very homogenous, and I'm not as big a fan. But I also fully admit that they are targeting an age group way younger than me. So, I've got to go into it with that in mind. But what was the last one we watched and reviewed? It was Ultraman. We just did the movie over it. Ultraman something. I can see their faces.
I know what you're talking about. It's the one with the glasses guy.
The guy with the glasses that like coffee, and the other little guy.
Yeah, the other guy, and then the captain, and the girl.
And they're going to bring over, we'll talk about it, they're going to bring over a lot of elements of that show. Ultraman, holy crap. It's just not coming to me, Andrew. What was it? Ultraman Arc. Had to Google it. Pause the podcast and Google it. But it's going to carry, we'll talk about it, but it's going to carry over a lot of the elements, I think, that they, at least they thought were successful in that show.
Which it wasn't
I mean, I don't know what the
successful.
ratings are, but yeah, I mean, I think we more or less thought it was okay. But, anyway, you want some production trivia?
Sure.
Like I said, 35th entry in the Ultra series, celebrating 60 years of Ultraman.
Wow.
Wow. They actually began pre-production on the show in late summer, kind of the late summer, early autumn period of 2023.
Wow.
So they've been, in pre-production on this show for a while.
That's
kind of
longer than
developing it.
most shows.
I would think longer than most of these. Takesu, who is the director, intentionally avoided focusing the series on a militarized defense team because of the rise of armed conflicts around the globe, which I feel like was a trend that Ultraman's been kind of heading in anyway. They've kind of been alternating shows, like with a defense team, without a defense team.
Ark wasn't really had a defense team. It was like a research
No, they were,
team.
like a research team, kind of similar to how this show is going to go in the second half. But anyway, so this is the first series opening since Mabius to use silhouettes in his visuals.
Wow.
I dug deep for that one. And this aired from July 5th of 2025 through January 17th of 2026. So, long time. But anyway, let's listen to the trailer.
Let's do that.
And then we'll come back. TV shows, I do a plot synopsis. So keep it short and sweet. And then we'll do...
Well, it's cast and crew.
We gotta do the cast and crew, and then the plot synopsis, and then we'll talk all about Ultraman and Omega.
Omega.
It's so hard to remember. See you in a bit. Listeners, and there was mostly just a musical interlude there, but
They had some.
there was a little bit of dialogue. Anyway, cast and crew. This was the primary series director, showrunner, whatever you want to call him, was Masayoshi Takesu. Written by the two main story credits are Toshizo Nemoto and Junichiro Ashiki. Music by Narasaki. Effects by Izumi Negishi, and starring Shori Kondo, Haruto Yoshida, Ayano Kudo, and Mirai Yamamoto. And the plot synopsis is more or less as follows. When Ultraman Omega, otherwise known as Sarato Okita, awakens on Earth with no memory of his past, he embarks on a journey of self-discovery alongside new friends Kosei Hoshimi, Ayuma Ichido, and Sayuki Uta, balancing daily life, running a warehouse, while defending the planet from rampaging kaiju. More or less?
Yeah.
More or less. Yeah, so listen, it's the basic setup at least for, the early part of the show is this guy. It's like, the man, what's that movie? The man that fell from the heavens or fell from the stars or whatever.
Yeah.
This guy,
Sure.
this guy falls. I think we start with like an Ultraman battling in space or something.
It's him battling.
And the Ultraman Omega, and he falls to Earth, and now he's naked and has no memories. So that's gonna be kind of the conceit, the original conceit of this show is that the Ultraman has amnesia, and he can't remember who he is. Remember who you are, and and then he's gonna meet Kosei, who is the other co-lead of this show.
Yeah.
And he's, young man in his early 20s, running a warehouse.
He's not running it. He's an employee of it.
Yeah, well, he's the sole employee of the warehouse manager, and he lives in and manages the warehouse.
Yeah.
What are they warehousing? I don't know, but doesn't matter.
It looks like various amounts of things.
So so he's like a live-in warehouse employee, and they're gonna. I think there's a very distinct feel from the first half of the show and the second half of the show. And the first half of the show is, Kosei and Soroto is what the name that he gives Omega, who has amnesia. And we're going to follow the two of them as they, develop a friendship and, work together to fight kaiju. As the show goes on, Kosei is gonna collect, I called them, this series version of capsule monsters.
Yeah.
There's gonna be 3 monsters whose names were something. There's like the dinosaur one. It's like Rekinus or something. Rekinus. And then there was
Reculus.
No, I think it was Rekinus. Yeah. And there was.
I think it's Reculus.
And there was the little like 4-legged beast thing. It was
Reculus.
Trigaron. And then the bird thing, Volganus. And anyway, it doesn't matter. There's 3 little capsule monster things.
It does matter.
It does matter. And one thing that's kind of unique about the show is that they want to give Kosei something to do because they're not part of like we talked about. They're not gonna start in any kind of organization, defense force or research group or anything. And we've seen this sort of thing before. I think like Orb, it was just about like these 3 friends that like were reporting on kaiju or whatever and stuff like that. But they're just 2 friends working at a warehouse. They get tangled up. Well, one of them is a amnesiac Ultraman.
Yeah.
And they get tangled up in monsters and they want to give Kosei something to do other than just run around and scream a lot, which he does plenty of that. But
yeah, he does.
He's gonna sort of become like the guardian of the capsule monsters or like the wielder of the capsule monsters, and he's gonna like through his life force empower them or something. I don't know, but kind of vague. It doesn't make a lot of sense, but it gives him something to do, and he and Soroto can work together and defeat kaiju together and all that. And I will say, the first half of the show is fine. I like their friendship. I think it's kind of sweet.
Yeah.
That's one of the elements I think that they thought worked in Ultraman Arc.
Yeah.
Was the friendship between the
main character
and the glasses inspector guy. And
it did work in that show also.
And I think it worked in that show, and I think it works in this show. There's a strong bromance and it's gonna carry. I mean, it more or less is the heart of the show. It is what carries me through the show, because I will say the biggest weakness of the first half, and really maybe the whole show, is like, these are shows made by committee, and there was obviously an edict from someone that said you got to have a main female cast member, which I don't.
You don't like the female cast member in
Are
this?
you? Which I don't mind. I mean, I understand this. Like you said, this is a kids show. They're wanting to appeal to as broad an audience, girl and boy, as they possibly can, and I understand that. It's clear in the first half of the show the writers have no idea what to do with her
Mhm.
and don't know how to integrate her because she's like a scientist for like the defense force or
Yeah.
whatever. And they run into her a couple times, and it makes sense for them to have like a liaison that kind of runs in, but they have, because she's a main cast member, they've got to like force her into every episode even when there's
Yeah.
not really a story reason for her to be. And there's just a couple times where she'll just like randomly pop in for a couple minutes just to say she was there and then leave again.
Yeah.
And you can tell that the writers really struggle to find something for her to do in the first half of the show, because the story is this bromance, like I said, between Soroto and Kosei, and them figuring out, trying to weave their way through Soroto's amnesia and
mysterious past.
and Kosei learning to wield these pocket monsters and doing all that and fighting kaiju. And so the writers struggle with that. So in the second half, the show changes up a little bit. So there's a fourth main cast member that sort of comes into the show, Professor Uta.
Yeah.
And she, kind of eccentric. She's like a scientist, like the Defense Force, and she's going to turn the four of them into a subdivision called KSCT or something. And so now they become like a, not a militarized group really, but a little more standard, like
a research group.
science squad. They have a vehicle that they use very sparingly, maybe for budgetary reasons.
Yeah.
And they get their little outfits, so they don't wear that often. And they kind of try to do that whole bit. Uta, again, I feel like the writers don't know what to do with her, because at least now they have an excuse for IU to be hanging around, because they kind of convert the warehouse into their headquarters. And so now the three of them are working together, and it kind of works better with her. But they don't really know what to do with Uta, because she just kind of drops in and out of the show, even though she's on the intro as like a main cast member in the second half. She just kind of drops in and out of the show. She'll be gone for a couple episodes at a time.
Yeah.
Just not really a big factor. And again, I think the writer, the show is really Soroto and Kosei, and the writers just don't know what to do with the female characters in the show. And I think that's unfortunate. I think, they should have either gone one way or the other. They should have either written it better and had their characters something to do, or just cut them out of the show. Maybe have them reoccurring guest characters, but not try to force them into every episode and just really focus on our two main male leads. But it is what it is. But
I don't think I mind them as much as you do. I think they're decent. They do what they're doing, pretty good. I give them credit for that. And then, I don't think she's the female, the first female lead we get.
IU.
It's not that bad at what she's doing. She's a pretty good actor, her lines aren't horribly given like some people in some of the shows we get.
No, I don't think for an Ultraman show, they all understand the assignment. They all know what kind of show they're in, and I think they do what they need to do. I don't think IU or Uta and the women playing them are bad actresses. I think their characters are just dull. Like, there's not really much. IU, like, she has a thing about, wanting to be a scientist or something, and she wanted to work for something, and then she comes back to work for them. I don't know. Like, they don't really have a deep backstory, an explored backstory. There's no real, like, there might be an episode for IU where or a 2-episode arc where she kind of has a character arc, but there's no real.
To be fair, that's been a lot of these characters in almost every single Ultraman show we've ever watched.
Yeah, especially the newer ones. And that's one of the things, like, I've talked about these shows are very, they have a 25 episode, that's what we're doing, 25 episodes. And because of that, that limits the amount of side characters they can have, stories they can explore, subplots they can explore. And so I think keeping the cast small is the right instinct. They did that in Arc. They do that again here. But they still don't really give, like I said, the two women a lot to do. and Ucha's fine. She at least has a bit of a personality. She's got this quirk where like every third or fourth sentence she says a phrase in English.
I think they're like...
And she obviously knows, like, one thing that the show tries to do that I think is not very well done is that they try to keep the secret for whatever reason. The show writers decide to like keep IU from the knowledge that Sorito is Omega for, the whole show until the final episode, even though like it doesn't make a lot of sense. She should be asking a lot more questions of like, where is Sorito running off to?
But Aaron,
all these times and
that's been a thing since the beginning of
I know. But, Uta at least, she catches on really early that Sorito is Omega. And I did like that bit. But, it is what it is. But, and then as far as like the episode content goes, I think... Again, it struggles with a lot of the things that I don't like about Modern Ultraman. There's a lot of homogeny in terms of set pieces. They don't even really have like a whole lot of soundstage sets. They they set the show in a warehouse, like their headquarters, their house. And they run around outside a lot, and usually a lot of their indoor locations are probably like real indoor locations. I mean, I'm sure there are sets here and there, but like all the new, I feel like we're in the same 3 or 4 outdoor location shooting places, same 3 or 4 indoor sets. Now they do have a pretty strong, and maybe it's just because this the ones I remember because we watched them today. They have a couple of strong episodes once they formed their little kaiju unit thing.
Yeah.
They have like a couple of episodes that kind of take me back to classic Ultraman. Like they have one where they meet a kid that likes to take tokusatsu photograph. He gets, he gets little models and photographs them and makes them, look like, tokusatsu frames or whatever.
This one random episode where they follow the time traveling the dinosaur around.
Yeah, and the one with the kid, like that took me back because that was a lot of old school Ultraman was that each episode would have a one-off character that would have a self-contained story arc, usually a kid, but sometimes an adult. And, they would do something, something unique for that episode. And, just kind of self-contained stories with self-contained characters. And then our main recurring characters would come in and meet the whatever character that episode was about and do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that took me back to that kind of formula that I loved about show era Ultraman.
There's a few episodes there that was like that in the middle, at the end of the show.
And then, like you said, the dinosaur one, that one was a kind of a fun. Again, when it's more episodic, I like it more, and I've said that about all these. But yeah, they had the time traveling dinosaur one. Yeah, so they have some of that stuff. But there's also a lot of episodes where like, where they show up, they go outside, do a little bit of research, a giant kaiju pops out of the ground, they fight the kaiju, and they go back to the warehouse.
And then rinse, wash, repeat.
Rinse, wash, repeat. And then we have the overarching story arc, which is the amnesia. And then somewhere towards the middle of the show, this other guy falls naked to Earth. And, kind of get the Terminator moment where he runs into a construction worker and like kills him and takes his clothes or whatever. I can't remember if he kills him or not. If he did, it was off screen. And he's like I don't remember what he was. He was like
he was a
robot that I think as we'll figure out at the very end of the show, the last 2 or 3 episodes. The last 2 or 3 episodes, we discover that there's this alien genus. He's a Genesian. I think they're trying to do a play on words like Genesis in the Bible, but whatever. And
it almost
he's
sounds like Geonosis.
yeah,
from Star
Gene
Wars.
Ocean. Yeah, I thought that too. He's all but hurt. It's actually the actor that's been in like those Heisei Gamera movies.
Yeah.
And he's in all the kind of tokusatsu stuff. All those really cheap like God Oga movies or whatever that we watched.
Yeah.
But he is all but hurt because what we learn is that, and it's kind of a unique twist on Ultraman lore that I don't mind, is that in this universe there are these stargazers. They're like the Watchers from the Marvel universe, and they just like have their little assigned region of planets,
Mm-hmm.
and they're supposed to just
Watch.
they protect them from
invaders.
yeah, like interplanetary invaders and stuff like that. But as far as the individual planets go, they're not supposed to interfere.
Anything that's naturally occurring on the planet.
Yeah, and there's this kind of naturally occurring a cycle with all planets, I guess, where the
Yeah.
intelligent life ends up coming into conflict with the kaiju, and there's a
Yeah.
kaiju awakening. And on this planet Genesis or whatever,
Yeah.
there was an escalation where the more kaiju that came out of the ground, the more deadly weapons that the
Yeah.
Genesians or whatever created, and in the end, it just destroyed the planet. And
And, the Ultraman was like, it was their choice to
Yeah.
destroy their planet with their weapons.
so they abandoned their planet to go looking for a new planet, and they found Earth, which they thought was inhabitable, and they thought they would use the awakening of the kaiju as a opportunity to kind of colonize the planet or whatever.
Mhm.
But they found a gazer who was Omega,
Mm-hmm.
who fought them off.
Well, he said he warned them first.
Yeah.
He was like, "Don't come to this planet. It's already inhabited or whatever."
Yeah.
And then
And they got into a big fight, and then that's when he fell to the earth with amnesia. And this guy, I guess he's like the last surviving one or something.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, he's all butthurt because Ultraman, now that Omega has amnesia, he's been fighting the Earth kaiju,
Mm-hmm.
and he's mad because Omega is defending Earth, but their Stargazer wouldn't defend their planet.
Yeah.
And so now he's gonna awaken some kaiju and destroy the planet or something.
Yeah.
And then Saruto starts to get his memory. And I think it makes for some decent drama in terms of Ultraman here in the last 2 or 3 episodes where, Saruto and Kosei are obviously close. Very close. And
Very good.
and as Kosei is worried, and rightfully so, as Saruto gains his memories back, he's gonna quit caring about their little friendship or whatever. And what happens to Saruto is like he kind of splits into 2 personalities.
Yeah.
He has
his Stargazer personality.
he has Omega, which is like his original personality, which
Mhm.
is like 5,000 years old and is a stargazer, and it keeps like popping up to him like a ghost, like we shall not interfere.
It's like a fourth ghost thing going on.
And then you have his Saruto personality, which
Mhm.
is the one that's kind of been on Earth, become friends
Mhm.
with Kosei, and wants to defend Earth.
Became more human-like.
Yeah, it is human. And at one point the Omega personality kind of takes over, and he kind of abandons the fight.
He's like, I will not be called Ultraman because I am one of many.
I am one of a multitude of gazers.
Yeah.
I love
Gazers.
I keep saying geezers.
Gazers.
But anyway, so he quits, and then Kosei gives his little impassioned "Don't you still love me" speech, not in those words, but
Yeah.
And and then eventually Saruto like comes to his senses, and his personality wins out over Omega, and
Yeah.
he comes back, and there's this kaiju that we had seen earlier in the show, but it's like merged with some kind of weapon that the humans created to absorb kaiju and their abilities, or something. And what was it called?
We've seen it before.
He was Zomera.
Pretty sure we've seen that one before.
I think he's original to this show. We saw him in an earlier episode, or his
Yeah.
earlier version. Anyway, but there's this kaiju Zomera that's like a merge, absorbing kaiju and things, and humanity can't beat it. But
Mhm.
but we do get, I think I did like the final episode.
Yeah.
I think it was one of the stronger episodes where, Osarito comes to his senses and turns into Ultraman, and then like he tries to shield Kosei from
Yeah.
the mouth beam or whatever, and then they like
Merge.
die and go to the afterlife, but he's like, there's still a chance. So they merge and become Ultraman Omega together, and they defeat the kaiju. And then it kind of like, it's kind of a throwback to old school Ultraman. Like, in old school Ultraman, a lot of the times what would happen was an Ultra being would come to Earth, but they couldn't survive on Earth for very long in their original form. So they would merge with a human.
Yeah.
And that human was our main character throughout the show.
Or he just Seven and he just copy a human.
Yeah, or before that, it was like more like Seven, where he was just copying human form. Yeah. But they're going to do that kind of old school thing where he's going to merge with Kosei. And now they're together forever. And, but no,
is he in Kosei or is he in the amulet?
Is he in the, I think they merged like old school Ultraman. Like he is part of Kosei because that's how he keeps Kosei alive, I guess. And
because he was talking to the amulet in the last episode.
He did talk to the amulet and that kind of thing, but I think where our impression was supposed to be like they actually merged.
Okay.
And then and he kind of talks to him through the amulet, but then he also kind of like visually appears to him in his.
I'm not sure.
body.
I was trying to think. I was like, is he a visual to him only, or is he just manifest?
I think it's just in his mind because Saruto is in his head. So yeah, I mean,
because it's kind of weird just him walking around just talking to himself.
yeah, he's gonna be talking to himself a lot. So I thought that was that was a good way to end it. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, in summary, I've rambled on a lot, but in summary, yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. Show.
It's the same. I think I've said the same thing about most of these new age Ultraman shows, which is, elements I like. I think the bromance is strong and pretty good, and I like some of the more episodic episodes, and I like some of them are better than the others. Some of them, whenever they can remind me of Showa era Ultraman, it's a good thing. Whenever they don't, it's usually a bad thing. And but I think they struggle with all the other characters that aren't Kosei and Saruto, or Serato, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
And I've said it more like 4 or 5 different ways. And I don't know. And the show is kind of feels disjointed at times and all that kind of stuff. But yeah. Any other thoughts? Did you have a favorite episode?
Favorite episode?
Yeah.
Let me think here. Let me think back into the episode log.
Yeah.
Probably one of my favorite episodes, honestly, was probably the episode with the time traveling dinosaur.
Yeah. That was a good one. I did like I said, the one with the kid that liked to take the photos. Even though it was a little weird because Kosei had like a crisis, like a identity crisis or like a midlife crisis where he's like having all these regrets and about not being an Olympic athlete or whatever, and not chasing his dreams harder. Even though it's a weird spot in the show to have him have that mental crisis, because at that point he's already like, wielding these pocket monsters and helping fight kaiju. It would have made more sense earlier in the show for him to have that little arc, which I think he had it a couple times, but
he had that arc earlier in the show.
So that was, but I mean, like I said, just the way that was executed in it, like old school Ultraman, where we'd have just like a random kid pop into an episode and do something imaginative or crazy or whatever, and then be gone. That I did appreciate that. But anyway, you're gonna get into some creature design.
Sure.
Well, we're not gonna go through every kaiju in the show.
There's more than one.
Yeah, I will say, like,
episode.
Oh well, let's do Omega. Omega, he's
He's cool looking.
he's somewhat original.
He's like red.
He's got red and silver stripes.
He's way more red than the usual
Yeah,
Ultraman.
primary red with silver stripes, which is pretty unique. And then he's got like the big blue emerald eyes, and he transforms. He gets like this I don't even know what you call it, but his little thing that he like hits the button and takes his little amulet off his necklace and puts it in, and he transforms. And the transformation sequences aren't too obnoxious.
No, not bad at all.
Not too obnoxious. And then he gets his upgrades.
There's not a lot of screaming like the previous ones.
Yeah. He merges with Reckiness, and he gets like a blue sword and like a little blue horn on his head or something, or mohawk or something.
Yeah.
And then he merges with Triagulon and gets like these big bear claws or something.
And Reckless and gets a sword.
Yeah, that's what I said.
No,
And
you said Trigalon.
I said Reckless, he got the sword. Then I said with Triagulon, he gets the claws. Pay attention. And
I think I would. I think you're making up stuff in your mind, bro.
And then he merges with the Vulcan bird thing, and he gets a
Vulcan.
staff. Well, it was Vulgarness or what, but Vulcan because volcano. But anyway,
I think you're mispronouncing that probably horribly bad. That name.
Whatever. Anyway, he gets like a staff or whatever, and gets some shoulder pads or something, and he can fly or something. But anyway, he can fly anyway. But
the flying ability doesn't come when he gets that bird.
So anyway, but I think Omega's decent. Reckiness, he's like a big blue dinosaur thing, Godzilla dinosaur thing, and he like can control gravity and stuff, and shoots a blue beam, I think. And Triagulon's like this 4-legged Power Ranger thing, and
it's like a tiger.
Tiger beast kind of thing, and he runs and he's got claws. He's got yellow and silver and that kind of thing. And then the bird is a red, like phoenix bird, and
a phoenix,
fire, and flies around and does things like that.
Yeah.
And then we've got like Zomora is the big final boss kaiju, and he's a variant of another kaiju we saw earlier, but he's kind of got the big shoulder pads, and he's got like the little like emerald in his chest where he shoots his beam or whatever, and he's got like one's arm's a tentacle and the other one's like a hook thing. And, pretty classic. And they got a good mix of new kaiju and classic kaiju, I think. Like we see I can't remember all their names, but we see Gamora. We see like the narwhal looking kaiju at one point. We see the one that likes electricity and used to turn invisible, but I think it's like a cousin of that kaiju. This one flies, but so we see some old school kaiju and some new school kaiju, and I think the kaiju in the show are fine.
Yeah.
There's no like super memorable new kaiju, I don't think, but I like seeing the old kaiju, and I like seeing the occasional new kaiju. There's like the alligator saurus one or whatever that was slimy and all that, and there was like the big pink, what were they, gerbil things or groundhog things
and then they had you always had to have a Pigmon episode.
There was a Pigmon episode. You gotta fit that in.
The Pigmon.
So that was fun. So I don't have any major problems with
the poor Pigmon. In every single episode they're on always get bullied.
The dinosaur, obviously the blue dinosaur, they could time it was like a Triceratops mixed with like the frill with like from Gomez or something. But so that stuff was all fun. But no, I thought the kaiju and the mix of kaiju is fine in this show. No real problem there. In terms of effects, I mean, pretty standard for what you would see from this type of show. Sometimes the vehicles look pretty cheap. I think that's probably why they didn't use their flying vehicle very much.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the tanks and cannons and stuff look like toys, plastic toys. They're not very good. But some of the city models are pretty good. Like towards the end, I think it was the episode where the kid with the pictures, and he found like a little emerald that like absorbed human despair or whatever and attracted that kaiju. There was a pretty impressive city model in that sequence and some good little model cars and foreground shots and all of that kind of
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
There were a lot of episodes where they just kind of fought out in the forest and they didn't have to build a city or anything.
Yeah.
A lot of that kind of stuff. But it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. It's like I said, pretty standard. And then score. I don't know, pretty standard. There's a lot of electric guitar riffs, especially towards the end of the show.
That one thing that kept playing over and over when that other guy, that inspector guy, was there.
Oh yeah,
That with electric guitar thing.
yeah.
Metal.
There was like a metal guitar riff that went through several episodes there. At one point they added like a Gregorian chant, almost like a Dune thing going on, and there was all that stuff. But yeah, you want to do some final thoughts?
Sure.
Go for it.
Well, like we said, this show is not bad. It's an Ultraman show. It's a new age Ultraman show. It has all the themes. It's age for a younger age group nowadays. It has all those themes, and they try to make it less violent as they can for the kids, so they it doesn't traumatize them, I guess.
Yeah. Not like old school Ultraman where they would just like
Decapitate.
mutilate these kaiju. Yeah.
Poor Cosmos having a mental breakdown every time he kill the kaiju. Oh my god. And they gone away like a lot of these other shows. They're trying to go away from a defense force type thing and more like a research type setting for the team and all that. And the scores on this is not bad.
Yeah.
They can change from episode to episode. The episode score, but the main theme and the outro theme, they're all right.
Yeah.
And the acting it's there. It's not bad. The main two male leads are good, and the female leads are not bad either.
Yeah.
They're there. They do what they're supposed to. They act.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel like they're just reading off a teleprompter most of the times, like some things we've watched here recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'll give this a show as a whole.
Yeah.
I'll give it a B.
Okay. Listen, I've said everything. I think it's your pretty average, maybe slightly above average new generation Ultra show. Listen, I think that the bromance between Kosei and Soda, I keep saying Satoru, it's a different anime. Sorito is it's good, it's sweet, it carries the show. I think their chemistry is really good and works really well. I don't think the show writers most of the time know what to do with the female characters in the show. They just know that they have to have them in there. There's a decent mix of old and new kaiju. I think Ultraman Omega's design is pretty good. But listen, I still, miss the days of Showa era Ultraman where, I felt like every episode was its own unique adventure. We had wild varieties of settings and stories and imaginative kaiju and plots, and I just like this one is same as the other ones. The other new ones I feel like it's very homogenous, not a lot of variety. I mean, they get a little bit an episode here or there, but and again, I fully acknowledge this is aimed at a audience much younger than me. These are glorified toy commercials, to sell toys to make money for Bandai, but it's fine. I'll give it like a C. But wow. I think this will be our last Ultraman project for a while. I mean, I'm sure there will be. They didn't advertise the movie on this like they usually do, but I'm sure there will be a movie in a few months that we'll get eventually. There will be another Ultraman TV show in 6 months or so,
as usual.
And we'll reconvene when that happens on Ultraman. But beyond that, I really don't have much news this week, and not a lot. I mean, I think there's a few more promos out there for the season 2 of Monarch. If you want to go watch them, I haven't seen any other than that one trailer, but there's some out there. I did want to mention this. I thought this was kind of funny. PBR, Pabst Blue Ribbon, is doing a Godzilla tie-in. They're selling like this box of 99 beer cans, and it has like Godzilla artwork on the outside of the box, and then each can has like Godzilla on it or something. And they've got different Godzilla kaiju on the box and stuff, and kind of a weird tie-in, but more power to them, I guess. I don't drink beer.
Good for them.
Don't drink beer, but
that's a weird company. The
PBR too. Yeah, I don't know.
that's just a random thing. They're like PBR.
Yeah, PBR. Here we go.
Here we go.
But yeah, so but
I guess they want to get all the adults.
I guess all the I shouldn't say that, but all the people that drink
more adult audience they're trying to get.
Yeah, sure. What month are we on? We are in January, and our next episode will be in February. Let's see what we got coming up for February. My handy dandy calendar here.
Ooh.
Our next episode is actually our next project is actually the Blob trilogy.
Oh boy.
We'll be doing the Blob. I've never seen the Beware the Blob, but I love the original Blob, and I love the 80s remake. It's been a while since I revisited the 80s remake, I think, but
and then we'd see a whole new Blob movie that we've never seen before.
It's not new, but it's not new. That's one we haven't seen. So we'll be doing the 1950s version of the Blob next week, and then we'll be doing this little known sequel, Beware the Blob, also known as Son of Blob, the following week, and of course we'll cap it off with the 80s remake. Can't believe we haven't had another Blob movie since the 80s. Seems like it's a property ripe for a reboot. Guess I should watch What I Wish For, huh?
Yeah.
Do we need to watch The Stuff? The kind of parody movie of it?
We might.
I might have to think about doing
Stuff.
The Stuff. But anyway, I think, that'll be our next project. We'll cap off the month with the giant behemoth, I think. But other than that, I think that's all we got for you this week. Don't forget that you can always contact us at stompthisway1954@gmail.com.
And find our website at www.stompthisway.wordpress.com.
That's right. And of course, you can find us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and X. And don't forget to check out our new podcast, which should be, I think we have done an introduction episode by this point, and then our first official episode will be first Monday in February. That podcast is Pulse Check, a horror movie podcast, and our first movie will be Send Help, the new Sam Raimi movie starring Rachel McAdams and that other guy. But anyway, again, next week is the Blob, and as always, I'm Aaron.
I'm Andrew.
And we will see you next time.